Hey, so this video is already late, so let's just film it anyways. Hello beautiful bookworms, my name is Katarina and welcome to my channel, and today I'm going to bring you my late July wrap-up, and this is because I haven't been able to post 2 times a week as I usually do, although you guys seem to be preferring me posting just 1 time a week, so I don't know, just leave it in the comments down below. But I have only been able to post 1 time per week in August, and that's possibly how it's going to be. So today I bring you my July wrap-up, even if it's very, very late, but let's just cope with it. So as you probably know if you've been following my channel, for a while I participated in the Book Junkie Trials, which was a readathon that was created by Rachel Marie Book Junkie. I think that was the name of her channel before, but I think she changed it. So I'm going to leave her link down below. And also I'm going to leave my TBR for the challenges linked down below so that you guys can see which books I put on my TBR and if I read them, if not. Spoilers, I read pretty much all of the books that I had on my TBR except for one of the books which I exchanged for other because I did not have access to that one, but I will explain to you in this wrap-up. So let's just get into it. I am not going to present you the books that I read per challenge, so if you want to see which book I read for which challenge, you have to go check my TBR. Sorry about that, but it's just easier this way. So I'm going to present them to you by series and then by whatever I deem fit in the moment. We will see, as in order for this not to be a very, very long and very, very exhaustive video, because you don't care what I read in July because it's already half August. Let's be honest. So let's get into it. So some of the things that I read for this readathon were a series which is comprised of 5 graphic novels, and I actually read all of the 5 for different challenges. And so that series is called Gloom Cookie, and this is sort of a gothic sort of story mixed with a lot of artwork, and the base story is by Serena Valentino, and then it has a lot of different authors or artists such as Ted Nafee, John Gebbia, Brehan Burns, Harley Sparks, and Vincent Battignoli. And basically this is the story of a love that transcends centuries. It's about this couple and they want to be together, they love each other, but because of a curse, the girl is always dying and reincarnating through centuries, and the boy is always searching for her. There is also a side story about this kid who was the child of a carnival, and then he went away for a while and he has powers that he cannot control. There's monsters, there's shadow figures, there's witches and gargoyles and gothic princesses, and it's really amazing, beautiful, I love it. I've read from volume 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5, and they were all amazing. They are very fast to read, although they are very chunky, and I really enjoyed Gloom Cookie. Sadly, I think this is out of print, but if this is the thing that you enjoy, you can try and search for it. I can try and search for it as well, although in the store where I buy books, it was like the last copy available. So I'm very happy that I got to read it because I really, really enjoyed the series. Now, in terms of manga series, I actually picked 3 volumes of an entire series. It's a series that I've been talking a lot about on my channel. It's one of my favorites. I believe it was one of my favorites of last year, and it still is. It's just perfect. I love it. And if there's something that you're going to take out of this wrap-up is to actually pick this up and read it. And that is Children of the Whales. I read volume 7, volume 8, and volume 9. These are all by Abi Humeda, and this author does the writing and the art style. The art style is beautiful. I love it. It's just so amazing. And this story is basically about a group of people that live in this sort of sand boat, and they just navigate through the sea, and they don't really know why they're there. They've just always been there. Some of their people have some powers and some do not have some powers. And the people that have powers die pretty young and nobody knows why. And the people that don't have powers are the elders, and they kind of rule the island. And one day something happens and there's some people from other places that come to actually kill them because they discover that they are political exiles, basically. And I don't want to tell you much more about this because this is a joy to understand and to discover by yourself. I absolutely love Children of the Whales, and as you can see, I am a little bit sick because I'm having difficulties in talking, but that in no way diminishes the fact that I love Children of the Whales. And this is just so Ghiblish. If you've ever seen any Miyazaki movie, or any Ghibli movie for that matter, you will feel the same vibe with Children of the Whales. And I believe that it has an adaptation. I haven't seen it yet. But for the base resources that they have, I'm betting that it's awesome because this manga series is just so great. Another manga that I read and that was absolutely beautiful and amazing was The Girl from the Other Side, Volume 6. This is by Nagabe, the story and the art, and I've talked about this for a while now as well. This is about this country where there's the inside and the outside. In the inside, it's sort of a medieval sort of castle sort of living, and in the outside, there's this forest where creatures like this one live, and basically they are cursed creatures, and if they touch humans, humans will turn into them and they will lose all of their humanity, and bad things will happen to them. And so it's about this little girl, and she is sort of very important in the plans of the insiders and the outsiders, and how she lives with this outsider called Teacher, and their relationship, and how they figure out who they are and what they are and what's the big plan for them. And it's just so very nostalgic and so sad, but so beautiful all the same. The art is really amazing. I want to show you because it's just completely gorgeous. I love it. And all of the themes that it explores, the isolation, solitude, love, family, it's beautiful. So I would recommend. And it only has 6 volumes. They are very short, perfect for a readathon, of course. And it was very, very beautiful. I really enjoyed reading this. On the other side of the spectrum, I read 2 more mangas for this readathon, and those were Fire Punch Volume 1 and Volume 2, both written and designed, or whatever you want to call it, by Tatsuki Fujimoto. And I have to say that this is not a particular series that I want to continue with, which is very strange because this sounds exactly like the type of things that I like. So basically, the premise of this is that there's people in this world called blessed, and those people have a sort of power. And our main character is a little boy, and he and his sister have the power to regenerate. So because there's this strange winter going around in the place where they live, they basically chop parts of themselves up and they give it for the villagers to eat. And one day, someone from the state arrives there, and he feels like those people shouldn't be allowed to live. And his bless is a flame, and he casts this flame upon the village, and the boy is the only one that survives, but he keeps burning and burning because he's a regenerative power, and the other flames will never go out. So it's sort of like he suffers for eternity, and it's not very good, but it's sort of the dark sort of vengeance story that I would like, and that I'm very surprised that I don't like, because it's not like the art is not amazing, because it is. It's amazing, and I really enjoy it. And it's not like the premise is not interesting, because it is. A revenge story, in my opinion, is always interesting. But the characters, first of all, I could not care less about any of the characters. I don't like any of them, exceptions maybe for one particular character, and even that one, I don't really care what happens. Second of all, the plot of the thing sounds, firstly, so rushed, then not rushed at all, and then just there to be there. It's just sort of a dystopian mixed with a revenge story, mixed with a fantasy, mixed with politics, mixed with everything, and it's too many mixes in the mix, if you know what I mean. And for some reason, this is not a priority for me right now. I haven't felt the pull for the characters, I haven't felt the pull for the plot, I haven't felt the pull for anything. And I feel like And you're going to laugh at me because I am the one saying this, but you know that I read a lot of gore and violent stuff, but this sounds violent just for the sake of being violent. I like when my violence has a meaning, it's there for a reason, if you know what I mean. Although I condemn violence, of course, and I would never be violent, I sort of understand sometimes when it's used for some plots or for a situation or for character development. I get it, but in here, it's just so you know who the bad guys are, and then the good guys are also violent for some reason, and then everyone is violent because society is going to shit and violence appears to be the answer for everything, and because politicians suck and so you have to be violent. I mean, yeah, that's true and all, but it doesn't make me like this more. So, I don't know, this just sounds like a mess, and if you've ever read Fire Punch and you've liked it, just tell me why, and sincerely just convince me to read the rest of this, because this sounded exactly like what I wanted from a manga series, and I don't want it. It's not that great, and I, for one, would not recommend you to read this. This is very violent, triggering, and for no apparent reason. But if that's your thing, I mean, you should give it a try for yourself, because this is not the type of thing that I like, but it could be the type of thing that someone else will like. I don't know. It doesn't have a plot or a character development per se, but it could have. I only read 2 volumes, but normally that's enough to make me interested. And this case, it wasn't. I don't know why. So after a rant, let's just get into stuff that I actually really enjoyed. And that's going to be some books that I read for the readathon, so some comic issues that I read for the readathon. And some of them I finished in the beginning of August, but because it's the same series, I'm going to wrap it up in this July wrap-up, especially because we're in the middle of August, and my August wrap-up is going to be about what I read for the Newts readathon, so let's just talk about this one. So the comic issues that I'm talking about, oh god, are the Lady Mechanica comics. And this was created by Joe Benitez, and it has a bunch of other artists and creators, but he's the main one. And if you cannot see by this image, this is sort of a steampunkish, Sherlock Holmes, more violentish comic. Jesus, I have to put this down. Okay. Okay, so I'm just going to hold this one up because it's just one and those were killing me. The issues that I have here comprise the beginning of the story of Lady Mechanica and then a lot of other side arcs and side stories that all integrate together. So I'm going to tell you what this is about. Don't want to spoil you because this is very interesting, and I feel like if you want to begin in the comic book thing, you should maybe start through here because it has a lot of similarities to other Victorian books that you probably already read, and a lot of similarities to Sherlock Holmes, and a lot of similarities to other fantasy stories. So you could get into this peacefully and loving it, as I did. So basically, what is Lady Mechanica? Lady Mechanica is this woman, and she basically is sort of a detective in Victorian steampunkish times. Steampunkish means that it has a lot of this sort of dressing and goggles and everything. It has to do with motors, inventions, and other gothic sort of mechanical topics. And basically, she is a woman that is sort of like a private investigator. She doesn't take cases. She just goes to the cases that she feels like are the most important because she has an agenda. She wants to know what happened to her because you know in the beginning of her story that she has 2 mechanical arms, 2 mechanical legs, and her eyes are also mechanically modified. They are red. I don't know if you can see in here, I think. Maybe, yeah. So basically, she was a normal girl, or so she appears to sort of remember sometimes because her memory is off. And one day she woke up in an institution like this. So somebody amputated her and mechanically modified her. So she tries to find out cases that imply mechanical enhancements and mechanical situations in order to discover who created her like this. So she's insanely strong. She's insanely sassy, and she's like a role model for feminism, and she's great. She kicks ass in a way like I've never seen. And I love all of the stories. I love the characters that go with her. I love the companions. I love the enemies. I love all of the adventures. We have sort of a Indiana Jones sort of adventure. We have sort of a Mexican adventure. We have a Victorian adventure. We have more. Oh, we have toy adventure. That one is very great. I like that one. Yeah, we have a lot of different adventures, and you can read them separately, although some of the things that are mentioned in the previous stories have to do with the stories that are happening in the situation that you are reading. So they're all connected, but you can read them separately, which is also pretty great. And the artwork, the designs, the mechanisms, everything is just so thought out, and I absolutely love it. So basically, I finished all of the issues except for the new one that just arrived. My boyfriend has that one. This is my boyfriend's collection, by the way. So we still have to read that one. I am pressing him so we read it together because I cannot wait for the next volume of this issue. Sorry. But yeah, this was great, and you should read it. Just that's that, okay? If you want to read comic books, but you're like, I don't know where to start, here you go. Lady Mechanica, like, I give it to you. It's just go read it. It's not hard. You can find this in volume, I believe, even. I'm not sure. Correct me if I'm wrong, but go read this. So after these, let's get into the real proper page-worthy books that I've read for the readathon. First of all, and to get this already out of the way, I am showing you the only book that I've changed for my established TBR for this readathon. So I was supposed to read Stardust by Neil Gaiman, which was the group book for the readathon and also a book that I really wanted to read. But because I did not have it and I couldn't access, for the life of me, Scribe to get the audiobook for that one, I decided to read Good Omens by Neil Gaiman and Terry Pratchett. Also because I wanted to see the TV show, which I already did, and it's amazing. But if you don't know, Good Omens, it's basically a satire to Christianity, and it's basically the story about this angel and this demon. They are both on Earth, and they are trying to prevent Armageddon, but they have misplaced the Antichrist. And it's just so funny, and all of the things that it talks about, I know a little about Christian religion because I was educated in Christianity, and even though I'm not feeling the pull for that particular religion area right now, it was incredibly funny to hear Neil Gaiman and Terry Pratchett talk about this. So this has a lot of British humor, and if that's not your thing, you'll maybe not like this. And I do believe that you have to be in a particular set of mind to actually approach this and read it. But that aside, it was great, and I love the actors in the series, and I love how they portrayed so well the characters in the book, and I love how the characters in the book were described. And yes, if you are wondering, I do ship Crowley and Aziraphale so fucking much. Like, let's just not talk about that, because I ship them in the book, but in the TV show, the thing got serious, and I was actually watching it with my boyfriend, and I was always making comments that I shouldn't be doing. And he's like, can you just stop shipping these two characters? They're just friends. And I'm like, oh no. No, they're not. Okay, let's put this aside. I really enjoy this book, although I feel like you have to be, as I said, in a particular set of mind to read this. This is very funny. If you like British humor, this will be your thing, and I really enjoyed it. Then, a not so funny book, but a very amazing one as well, was Vengeful by V.E. Schwab. And yes, Lord, I finally read Vengeful at last. And if you guys know anything about me, you know that I pre-ordered this book, it never came, and then it arrived in April, and I couldn't read it, and I only read it in July. I was dying inside to know the end, sort of the villain's duology, and I am so very happy to say that although I do prefer Vicious, and that will always be a great book, and I will always love it, I did enjoy Vengeful very, very much. It wasn't my favorite from the two. My favorite was Vicious, of fucking course. But Vengeful is really great, and I love that we got to see new characters and the old ones, and there was character development for the new ones and for the ancient ones. And I really liked Marcella, which is one of our main characters. I feel like I get her and I get where she's coming from, although some of her decisions might not be mine, but regardless, I really enjoyed it, and I get how maintaining and controlling the power that is given to you sometimes is very difficult, and sometimes you don't use it in the best way. And I'm not going to spoil this for you because this is the second one in a series or a duology for now. So just go read Vicious if you've never read this, or go read V. Schwab for that matter, because the woman's great and she writes incredible books. So that's that. For the readathon, I also read Uprooted by Naomi Novak. This is the Portuguese cover, and this is gorgeous. I absolutely love it. I really enjoy this book. I was expecting to like it, but not love it as much as I did. This is way darker than people seemingly told me. People were telling me, and that is the truth, that this is basically the story of this girl. She lives in a land where the woods are sort of a character and the woods are evil, and each time, 10 years, apparently, I forgot already, sorry. Each 10 years, the wizard that is in charge of pulling the woods away, called the dragon, gets a girl from her village to go live with him, and he picks her. And first of all, I really like their dynamic, absolutely amazing. I really enjoyed how romance was not at all the focus of this book, and I really enjoyed how the idea of the book is telling you that sometimes you forget that being peaceful and searching for another way is the correct way, instead of making wars and destroy what destroys you. That sometimes is not the answer. You should try to heal what destroys you and progressively make it better. And I loved how this is sort of has an ambientalistic sort of vibe, a naturalistic sort of thing, in which we forget where we come from, and we come from the land, the nature, and we turn against her, and then of course she will turn against us. And that's all that I'm going to say, because this is way darker than I was expecting, way more political than I was expecting, and way better than I was expecting, and I really enjoyed it. If you haven't read Uprooted, I strongly recommend it. I feel like it's amazing. I don't know, I really like it, and I know there's a lot of people that don't, but I did, and that's all that I can say on the matter. And I think that this is the last one that I read. Hopefully I'm not forgetting anything, but we will see. I read The Feathered Men by Jeremy the Quit. And first of all, this author is British, and I had no idea with a name like this, but I mean, who am I to judge? My name is also not British, and I'm very sad about it. Also, I'm not British. I'm also very sad about it, but what can be done? And this story is supposed to be a middle grade horror story. Which, let me tell you right now, this is a middle grade horror story, but it so isn't a middle grade horror story, and I'm going to explain you what I mean. So basically, this is a story about this kid. He works with this dentist man, and this dentist man, in order to build his teeth and other people's teeth, robs teeth from dead people, but only the perfect ones, which doesn't make it better, but yeah, that's the thing. And basically, when he's taking the teeth away from this dude, this dead dude, he finds a diamond inside of his mouth. And through a series of events, the kid finds himself with a diamond, and his life is in danger. And first of all, this is very middle grayish in a way that it's seen by the perspective of two kids, and because they don't know what's going on, you don't know what's going on, and it's very anguishly profound in a way that they know that they're going to die, and they know that bad things are happening, and you feel like you are going to die, and that you are a child, and that you don't know what's going on. But it's not middle grade-ish in a way that if you know anything about the story of El Dorado and Cortez, you will know what is going on in here, because this has something to do with indigenous cultures. And for that matter, because I actually know a little bit about that I was feeling very nervous for the kids, and I was also feeling very amazed that he was putting everything together and he was using such a strange type of story to actually bring horror into his story. And it was just so great. And the Featherman is a thing. He exists, and he's for sure not what you think. There's a lot of religion sort of discussion in this book, which is also very interesting for kids, but I feel like you earn more by being an adult and reading this book than an actual kid. You might just being scared and never look at angels the same again. And that's all that I'm going to say. And you should pick this up if you like horror. It's a little bit aggressive, more than I was expecting. So if you're very young, please don't do it. But if you like the beginnings of horror and some disturbances, this will be perfect. And I feel like a lot of people don't know that this exists. So I am an advocate for this, for sure. I was very confused, but I love it in the end. And this was great. Okay, so this is finally over. Jesus, this was a gigantic video, and in order that it doesn't get bigger, I just want to let you guys know that it's over. This is my July wrap up. I hope that you guys enjoyed this video. If you like it, leave a like or subscribe, and tell me if you participated in the Book Junkie trials. I was a scribe. Which one were you? Are you going to participate in the next round? Did you finish all of your books? I finished all the 17 challenges that I had to read to be a Queen's Champion, and I am so happy about that, and I cannot wait to see what perks will come with that. So, that's all for today, and happy readings to you all. Bye!